I'll talk to people and they'll say, oh yeah, of course I feel better when I work out. Like, of course, when I'm thinner and I'm carrying less body fat, my sexual drive is higher, which then means I have more sex, which means I sleep better, which then means I wake up more energized and I do more business. And like, people see those positive ramifications of eating well or not drinking or working out. But then when you try to go one step further and be like, hey man, through nutrition and nutrition and sleep and self-care, you can really heal some of these ailments. They're like, oh no, that's crazy. I got to go to the doctors and get a pill. It's like, well, wait a minute. We made the first step. Why is the second step so hard? And so I would ask you as somebody that kind of went both directions, right? Like when people are faced with tragedy or hardship or medical issues, some of them go left and eat themselves into oblivion and try to kill themselves, slowly with whether it's cigars or cigarettes or alcohol or self-medication. Some people go right and they pick the path of, hey, I'm going to double down on my self-care. I'm going to try to eat healthy. I'm going to try to like be the best version of myself, even if there's technically this ailment. You've gone both directions at different times. What was the difference? Was it a mindset? Was it the people around you? Was it what was going on politically? Like, why at one moment did you go left and try to eat yourself to death? And then at another moment you went right and you're like, no, I'm going to change my life and heal myself. Like that's a rare person that's experienced both directions.
Yeah. Well, I think that the eating yourself to death is just straight up depression. And I think that it becomes easier and it becomes an addiction, a cycle that is hard to break. And Paul Chek is a good friend of mine. He's a nutrition expert and health expert in a lot of different fields. But one of the things that he says is either you want to do it or you don't want to do it. And he said, you can BS yourself all day, but he's like, ultimately you have to decide. And I remember hearing that and just feeling like, yeah, that is true. But I think what I want to encourage people is that I remember one of my friends is a personal trainer, and he said, if you can get up out of bed at 5 a.m. and just show up at the gym and do 10 reps and then go home, you just proved to yourself that you could get out of bed. It was a baby step. Now do the next thing tomorrow and do 15 reps of whatever it is. And he said, just that drive there, you've shown yourself that you had dedication to do it 2 days. Now do it 3 days. And so, and I remember thinking like, oh, that's so dumb. Like,
right.
But I realized like, it's even now, like I just started working out on a routine. We're doing 3-4 days a week now. And it's made changes just in this last 3 weeks for me, where I feel like I have more energy. I feel more excited about the day after I'm done working out, because the thing that a lot of people don't realize is it's not just the workout, it's actually changing your brain chemistry, And when you get into like things like breath work, where people say, oh, that's really woo-woo, the thing I try to explain to people is when you're consciously taking breath in at a slow rate, like counting to 10 on a breathe in or 8, and then you hold it for a few seconds and then you exhale for, 8 or 10 seconds, just very basic, nothing crazy, just slowing down the body. What ends up happening on a scientific level is your heart rate actually lowers. It drops, if you do 10 breaths like that. And then also your brainwave activity, drops into can drop if with that conscious, intention behind it, can drop the brainwave state to like a theta brainwave pattern, which is like what we hit just before REM sleep. So if someone's anxious or has pain or has depression, this is something that could, it doesn't cost any money. It's just the actual 10 minutes, putting into that process. So I think that all these things are really hard for people because the pharmaceutical industry has done such a great job of shoving down our throats. There's a pill for every ailment. And they also like to put on the screen the 37 side effects and then give you more pills for the side effects. And I think like one of the things that's really interesting about sound, I'll just make this real quick, is I think the most basic explanation of how this works is we all have a negative friend. The world's out to get them. Everything sucks. They're complaining all the time. If you hang out with that friend for a long period of time, it starts rubbing off on you. That vibrational state now starts coming into you, and you start seeing your perception of the world is now changed. But you also have, most of us have those friends that are just like zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day, right? And everything's sunshine and rainbows. And if you hang out with that person long enough, you feel better. And I think this is very basic, depiction of how vibration can really change, the words you speak to yourself, the words that you're listening to from family and friends about, whatever it is. If you're an artist and they're saying, oh, go get a real job, these are the people, it's changing you, it's affecting your emotional state. So it's like, that whole thing of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, you become, is a very true statement. And that is a very vibrational depiction of how vibration works, whether it's the media we take in, the food we eat, all of these things have a vibrational state.